Um, all right. Just like I told you earlier, it's just a conversation. Like I told you earlier, it's just a conversation that goes anywhere. Um, if for any reason you overshare, just let me know. And there's a timer here. I'll write it down and I'll just delete it.
Yeah, it'll be all right, man.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be the first, and believe me, it's not like it's like shit. Like later, I have had people call me later.
Really?
Yeah. I have one lady. She this is the like the prime example that I like using. She left and then I was like, hey, can you take out the part where I was talking about my client? And I was like, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're riffing about different people who collect art. And she was an artist. And so we just started rambling about like the weird clients. And then I was like, what's like the weirdest? And she was like, I had something like that. And we just kind of went on a tangent. And then she was like, yeah, that's going to be pretty easy for them to be knowing who I'm talking about. So like, can you take it out?
It's like, yeah, they paid me like $10,000. So if you could take them off, you know,
who knows?
Like,
yeah, who knows what that dude fucking or chick buys. All right. So introduce yourself.
So I'm Julian Nieto. I'm a local comedian here in Bakersfield, part of Bad Neighbor Comedy, which is a group of collective of comedians that are really trying to build the local scene here. Other than that, I am a comedian. I'm a chef in training. I do a Bakersfield College culinary program, and above all that, I'm also in sobriety. I'm like actual like. I got 1 year. Actually, today I got 1 year, 5 months, completely sober off drugs and alcohol.
Damn, that's what's up.
Yep.
I thought it was just an October thing.
No. So we are doing like we were originally gonna do like a sober October kind of thing, but me, Marcos, and Anthony, the other Bad Neighbor guys, are kind of none of us. I don't drink, you know, because of my sobriety, and those guys don't really go too crazy or anything like that. You know, maybe Anthony will smoke weed or whatever, but they don't really go too crazy. But where I think all of us are kind of lacking was we're all out of shape, you know, some more than others, you know. So we decided to do more of a fitness challenge, which is what we're going to be doing from October, because we started a week late.
Oh, I was about to ask. Okay, I was like, you guys are deep now.
Yeah, we started a week late, so but we're going to go until November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving. So we're going to go until then, 6-week fitness challenge, and just see where it takes us.
That next day is gonna definitely be like the test for what that progress meant to whoever, right?
No, so the day after we're going ham, you know, like it's part of it, you know, it's part of it, you know.
What if like, I mean, well, I don't know, in 30 days, like how fit do you think you can get if you like were committed?
In 30 days, I mean, I don't know. I just want to like maybe lose my gut a little bit of my fucking man titties, you know, because like I'm not very unfit, you know, like after cutting out alcohol completely, like I used to be like 280 pounds. Now I like rock between like 245, 260. That's like where I rock at. So, I mean, I'm like, I always joke that I'm in like the best shape of my life from like just not doing anything, you know,
just being tall
and just like walking around and shit, you know. I'm in the best shape of my life, which isn't like a total lie, you know what I mean? But I'm out of shape and shit. So I'm excited to see where it goes. It's 6 weeks though, man. It's a little bit more than 30 days. It's like what, 30? It's like 50 days, 44.
I wouldn't say I feel out of shape, and I do exercise frequently, here and there. I wouldn't say frequently, like consistently, but
yeah,
I'll be pretty frequent for about 2-3 weeks, and then I'll drop off for like a couple weeks and then go back, and I'll do like jiu-jitsu or boxing or like MMA. But you'll start feeling in shape even going to that, and then you'll go do a random shit, bro, and you're like, God damn, I'm fucking sore.
Yeah.
I used to know dudes that when I work construction, they were like body lifters. They'd be fucking gassed out, bro. Like,
yeah.
We'd be like shoveling and digging holes, and they would gas the fuck out.
Well, that's because like people are fat still, or people are out of shape, you know. It's like so I've been doing like cardio and working out, and my brother's the one that kind of helped us like do like the little benchmark testing or whatever. My brother's like a personal trainer, super fit, like just kind of knows his shit. You know what I mean? Like he's like a certified personal trainer, not just like, oh, I'm a personal trainer, like certified, went to school for it and like knows his shit. So
and then you can cook. So if he tells you like your diet,
exactly,
then you can kind of figure out what you could do with that.
Exactly. And then I've picked up throughout the years, like him.
So you got no excuse to lose this.
No excuse. Well, what I think, and I think
is it percentage or not, or weight?
So we're doing 3 different like scoring factors.
Nice.
The first is the benchmark test that we did. We're gonna release a video of it here soon. Of like we did max bench press in a minute, max deadlift in a minute, like how many you could do, like a max reps. We did max air squats in a minute, and then we did how quickly you could run a 400 meter, like on a treadmill. So we're gonna do that again at the end, and and there's gonna be like points accrued for that. And it's gonna be weight loss percentage, and then we're gonna do a 5K, like November 19th. We're gonna do a 5K, and that's gonna be part of the points too. Is like our timing on that. So it's like, you know, multiple things, and then whatever, we'll see.
And it's you, Anthony, and Marcos?
Yeah.
Who's making is there anybody making noticeable progress, I guess?
We're really like in our first week, so it's like we're kind of just setting the pace for shit. But I think it's mine to lose, but I think Anthony could, just because he has the most to lose. You know what I mean? Like he has the.
Let's find a nice way to say what we're not trying to say.
No, fuck that, dude. Fuck that. Anthony knows exactly where he's at. He knows exactly what he is.
He knows what he is in life. He knows how he comes.
So you know, like how like the Joe Rogan guys, they did the Sober October originally to like help out Bert Kreischer because they thought he was gonna die from alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, I made a joke that we're doing the same thing, but for Anthony, because we're afraid he's going to die from McDonald's French fries. So we're just trying to help him out, man. But really, it's like a cool thing that we're all doing. We're excited.
How did you meet that guy? I'll tell you how I met him.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I met him. I don't want to get that part wrong, but I believe he reached out to me and just said that he heard me, I think on the radio. Mm-hmm. And he was interested in talking to me and then in doing comedy.
Yeah.
And he showed up at a comedy show, open mic. He said, "What's up?" He didn't go up. I don't think I saw him for maybe a year. And then one day out of the blue, he hit me up and wanted to record something for, I think it was YouTube. I want to say YouTube. Pretty sure it was YouTube. Yeah. What else? And so then he disappeared for like a year. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, he was doing comedy at the Well. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. That's what's up.
So the way I met him was I had went to middle school with him in 8th grade. And I didn't even really remember him. But and it's no fault to him. Middle school is just kind of like I just kind of glossed over most of my middle school years. But later on, like probably, let's see. My son was born. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. And one of my buddies from high school was starting like this like YouTube channel or whatever. It was like called
the Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken thing.
Yeah. I remember seeing that. Yeah. And I think me and Anthony talked about that, and I think they had split.
Yeah.
Or the group split, or Anthony split. I'm not sure. And then he said he was interested in recording something, and that's when I told him like, yeah, whenever, like let me know, and then disappeared.
Yeah, so that's how I met back up with him. Is I went and I walked into like the writer's room because we were writing, like trying to write a sitcom for the Kraken Eats Pineapple thing or whatever. And I had saw him there, and he's like, "Oh, what the heck?" He's like, I went to middle school with you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up. You know what I mean? Like, and we like would write together in that environment. And me and him had like the same kind of like comedy styling, at least a little bit. Like the other guys were more writers, I think, and we were more comedy, you know, like we could make shit funny. Like we both watched Your Mom's House, and we both watched all that shit. And then I would follow him on Instagram, and I saw him going to open mics, and I hit him up. I was like, hey dude, when's the open mic or whatever? And I went and checked him out. And then the next week I started doing comedy, and then the rest is history.
What's your perception of you guys in comedy by the comedy scene?
Like
what you guys are doing is the neighborhood. Was it neighborhood friends?
Bad neighbor.
Bad neighbors.
Bad neighbor.
Yeah.
Like what our perception is, what my perception is, what we're doing, like what our mission statement is.
How do you see other people seeing you guys? Is the best way to say it, I guess. What I meant.
how do I see other people seeing
Like,
us?
what you guys are doing as far as the
I would hope
group?
that they would see us as like refreshing, you know, as something that, because like I know there's guys like Bruce Gray and Chris Flail and Dan, like guys that kind of came up, like, you know, is like it's like, okay, these guys are, it's all, man, I wish you guys were around 8 years ago, you know, or in Bruce's case, I think he was doing open mics like 12 years ago or 10 years ago, or however.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish you guys were doing that then, you know, because I know some guys have came up and been like, man, it's all, where the heck were you 8 years ago, you know, because we had like that fire, and like because when we came into the scene, it was kind of like, okay, just sit back and wait your turn kind of thing, or sit back and wait for someone to notice you, aka Dan Betts or Andrew Boydston or whatever, la la la. And it came a point to where it was like, yo, let's go out there and take it, you know what I mean? And not in like a bad way or anything like that, but
no,
like,
it's you grabbing life by the balls, man. Like, not waiting for someone to give you a pass for something they don't have the authority to give you. You know, it's something you go out and get yourself. It's the path that everybody's having to take to rise to anything. Is like, you gotta go out and try to get it. Yes, there might be some people along the way who have, you know, make the calls for, you know, your special or your pay or whatever the situation is. But for the most part, you have to just keep trying to figure out how it works and find your angle. There's no, I mean, I've spoken to a few comedians here, and they say the same thing. There's no blueprint.
Exactly.
You can blow up because you cussed out your mom on TV. You can blow up because you fucking have the most banging song with no lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it is what it is. And with comedy, it's the same. People sometimes they're act, like, well, I don't know what to call them, but like act comedians. They're not stand-up comedians, but they're just kind of funny, and then they get writers and people write for them. There's people who make their way up and then they are ghostwriters. There's just so many paths. I think I'll say from my perspective, and I know I don't come around much, mostly because I was doing comedy with someone else, and now I'm kind of stuck here in town, and so I'm trying to get back into comedy and start doing more, I guess, local shows, and go out to LA and do other shows when I can. But for the most part, you guys are like, I wouldn't say like I wish you guys were here back then. It's just nice to see you guys in control of what you guys are doing. You know, to see not only to just see younger people doing comedy, enjoying it, doing it their way, and really in a time when you can really kind of do it anywhere, right? You can do it at a gym, you can do it at a bar, you can do it, you know, you don't have to have a club. It's nice to see that. And I think like the cherry on top is that you guys are of color. You know, to see that is not, there's no precedent of that. Of that I wouldn't say that much freedom, but definitely seeing people of color not really being controlled, or not being, kind of like you said earlier, where you don't know what to do, and the people around you who should be teaching you, like, hey, you got to go out and get it, you got to go and get content, you got to go out and get a name, you got to go and work on material, you got to write, you got to, you know, or what is it that you want out of this, and this is how you can meet the right people and stuff. It was quite the opposite. It was where it was like, if it didn't work for me, then it's not going to work for you, so don't even try. Or also like, if I can't be the honcho, then you're like blacklisted. You know, kind of like when people would try to open an open mic, it wouldn't even have to be on the same day. You know, put that aside, right? It wouldn't even have to be on the same day. They would say like, oh, you're gonna thin it out, and we only have so many people who like comedy in town, so don't do that show no more. And if you do it, we're not gonna support it. And if anybody goes to it, then they can't come to the other mics. And it's like, why are you doing that?
And that's still like, there's still a touch of that. But it's not as much as like, I think now, I think after the pandemic specifically, people are kind of like ready for something new, maybe, you know what I mean? And it's like we're able to, at least with what we are, like, you know, us compared to other shows that are going on at the Well, we're kind of more of like a punk rock kind of scene, you know, like a Basement at Jerry's Pizza kind of thing, you know, like, you know, we're more, so it's a different crowd other than the guys who, oh, they did have to go get a babysitter. Oh, they did have to make sure to order pizzas for their kids. They did have to do this and the other. Our crowd is more like, hey, there's fucking something going on in an hour. Let's go. And like they come through in droves. Like I think we have tapped into, like you said, that younger, like, you know, that more like punk Mexican scene or whatever, you know, because I'm third generation.
Just more
American.
rowdy.
Yeah, more rowdy, you know what I mean? Like I'm not, you know, paisa or nothing like that. I'm like, I don't even know Spanish, you know what I mean? So it's like,
the variety of comedy changed too, because not only did you guys bring your guys's, I don't know what to call it, you know, your show that you guys do, you've brought like a new perspective on materials, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a time when I remember I would be at the mics, and I wouldn't say people, well, obviously people are gonna tell the same jokes over and over. Yeah. But like it was like very low hanging fruit. Even me, like fucking pussy jokes, fart jokes, you know, whatever. Everybody does that shit. But I meant like people playing to like the oil Dale crowd and shit, you know, just like making Jew jokes, making black jokes, making Mexican jokes, and then it was just different. And I think to add on to it, I think another good part about it all is that you guys have options. So as to where before, if someone did tell you something like, hey, if you try to branch out and do your own thing and you know you're gonna take a risk, like you're banned, or you're not, or you're not allowed to do this or do that anymore, or we're not gonna support this and that. You kind of had to take it as what it was, because it was a small group of people who controlled it and they were all in coordination. Yeah. And so now everybody has options. There's people, they're not related to each other. They're even in some ways competitive to each other. There's other establishments who want comedy, and if one group doesn't want to do the comedy, they'll fucking hire someone else to do the fucking comedy. Yeah. So I think that ability of the options, I think people can still, I guess, make like dry threats and shit, but they're just bluffs at this point now, because any of the establishments, if they want to continue, have to, and they can't be doing that shit, you know, trying to blackball people.
And we've you know, I've been doing it, me and Anthony at least have been doing it for like about a year and a half. Anthony has.
Oh, it's not bad. I thought you guys were like maybe on 3 years. But okay.
No, we're post COVID comics basically, you know what I mean? And so you have guys like Marcos, who has kind of seen a bit of that, and we hear the stories about this, that, and the other. But I feel like we not rise above it. I don't want to say that. Like we're just not. We don't have to worry about it either, but we're just not even involved with it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's what I've seen.
Yeah, we've created our own path within the realms of what has already been constructed, you know? Our best shows have been at the Well, you know what I mean? And we're able to move within these things and able to kind of just, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, a woman, this, that, or the other. Are you funny? Yeah. That's the only thing we care about. It's like, we want to put on the best shows for these people in Bakersfield that maybe have either that, for the most part, don't even know what comedy is, live comedy. You know, they're used to watching George Lopez specials or, you know, Bill Burr on Netflix. It's like, well, this isn't that, but you're going to come out and you're going to get your money's worth.
No, definitely, man. No, it's great, man. It's a breath of fresh air, and I hope you guys continue and keep growing and take it where it goes, man. Who knows where it can go. And then who was so this guy was there with Marcos, I think Marcos and Anthony at the roast battle. He was like a young guy,
real fat.
Yeah. I was gonna say chunky, but yeah, bro. He looked like someone like dropped off their kid or some shit, and then left them with the two worst motherfuckers you could leave them with. Bro. It was a trip. So is he a kid or is he an adult?
He's an adult. Okay. He's 20, 21, I think.
Okay.
And here, watch, you're gonna trip on this. He's the bad neighbor intern.
I remember they referred to him as that. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is fucking crazy. These guys are nuts.
Yeah, he's our intern. He wants to pursue something in the arts kind of thing, and we're giving them the opportunity to help us out, to edit, to shoot, to just be a part of something, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the biggest thing, is that it's like, we want to, you know, it's like, come on, you know, like, because none of us are getting paid from this, you know what I mean? Where everything, every dollar that we've ever made is put back into the company, you know, it's not an actual, but into the group. And we want to, you know, none of us are greedy, none of us are this, and we're just trying to put out the best content that we can for these people, for the people, you know. The money will come later, but right now we're just trying to do something. I think like the best way to put it is like Bakersfield right now, the comedy scene is in its adolescent period and early adolescence. Like it just barely hit puberty. You know what I mean? We got a while to kind of grow with it before it reaches adulthood.
Well, I think it goes back to your guys' group, man. You guys have like kind of broken the chains and kind of not chains as in like being held back, but more just like breaking the mold. Yeah, is a better way of saying it. Like breaking the mold. I think people just thought one type of comedy worked out here, and I think Class Clowns have done well. They haven't done a few things lately. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I think they were a group as well that showed that there was room for this comedy of group of people. Yeah, not just one individual up there. And I think Anthony Rivera was here the other day, and I did his interview, and he was saying the same thing. Like it's just all way different now, and I'm really glad, man. I'm really happy for you guys. Yeah. That you don't have to deal with some of the shit that I've heard people deal with, but it's everywhere. Like I was talking to Eric Seifert, and I was like, we talk about it like, you know. Like
Eric Seifert's a cool fucking dude too.
He's like, I used to work with the fucker. He's hilarious. I mean, this guy would bullshit on lunch all the time. But we were talking about it, and we were just talking. It's just different. You guys are doing better, and hopefully you guys all continue to get along and do well. Because it is, man. It's different and it's better. It's better for everybody. Because it just needs to grow. Comedy needs to grow here in Bakersfield, and it's like the perfect spot to have a club. We have Fresno and we have LA right around us. Yeah. So it's like the perfect spot to get people to stop by and do a show, especially for people just looking for a mic.
Yeah. And that's what we're working towards. We've our last two like present shows, our headliner shows. We've had two. We've had one guy that was passed at the Comedy Store, and then another guy that is a door guy over there.
Apart from doing that show and your guys' group, you said you're pursuing culinary. What got you into that?
I've always been into cooking and stuff like that, you know, from being like a little kid. I used to barbecue a lot with my dad and shit, and my dad could barbecue, and then I would go and like make a side or something like that, like mac and cheese or some shit like that. And then I would just kind of gradually like cooking more. And I used to be an electrician, and when I would be out of work, like during like the winter months or something like that, I would go and I would do barbecue plates and sell them out of my house. And I've always been pretty good at cooking. And then like now I decided to go to culinary school. I was always like, oh, I don't need that shit. And I started going, and like my cooking has improved like tenfold, like just my organization and everything. And I love it.
No, that's true, man. One, you learn the language, you learn subtle things that make sense. I remember, have you ever met anybody who went to comedy school?
No.
All right, so it's the same thing with comedy school. Like they have, for the shit that you probably go like, I don't know if you ever try to categorize your comedy. So I remember I would watch comedians, and then I would just go like, not really looking at the material, looking more at like what made the material funny, and what about it that was it funny? Not just like the lines, but what about it was funny. And then I lost my train of thought right there. I'm fucking high.
You're talking about people at comedy school.
Yeah, so people go to comedy school, and so when I watch comedy, what I would do is I would watch it, and then I would see a pattern, and I would just name it something because I didn't know what it was called. And so one thing that I would notice was the callback. But I didn't know that the proper name was callback, so I called it a loop-de-loop. Because I just noticed a pattern when someone would say something, and then down the line they would bring it back together.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, so it's looped. I was like, oh, I'll just call it loop-de-loop so I can keep it in my head. And so then I would like practice loop-de-loops in my jokes. And then and then I remember I was talking to I'm sure you've met him, Curtis, CT3.
Yeah.
I was talking to him. He went to comedy school. And so I was talking to him about like how I write, and I was like, yeah, man, so I'll just look at different stuff and I'll see if I can get a loop-de-loop in there. And then he's like, what? I was like, a loop-de-loop. It's like when someone tells a joke and then you go back. He's like, it's called a callback. I was like, oh, I didn't fucking know. So in your comedy, do you do any type of
any loop-de-loops?
Do you loop-de-loops or do you like? Do you know that there's a system and you name it something? Or
Like I've watched kind of like I think listening to all those podcasts, and I have watched like YouTube videos on like the 7 ways that make people laugh and shit like that, and it's like you have callbacks, tags.
I have a couple, man. I'll even recommend them.
It's like fucking let's see, you got callbacks, and I try and work them all in, rules of 3 and shit, and
I just bought this one, but I haven't read it.
The 10 Commandments of Comedy.
Yeah. And then I have another one that's it's the same guy, Pete Garrett, I think is it the name of the author?
Gene Perret.
Gene Perret, yeah.
Sounds like a funny guy.
He was like the kind of writer back in the day. He did like back in the day writing for like shows and stuff, late night shows, comedy shows, and
the biggest thing I think with that someone helped me with, I can't remember exactly who it was. One of our guys, and I remember he told me, he was like, when you go up there and you like are talking about shit, he goes, you have to make sure that like you believe it, because the audience could tell when you're, because basically the way the audience is laughing, the reason why they're laughing is because they're in it with you.
Yeah.
They're believing what you're saying, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? And you have to make them believe it. Why are they going to believe it if you don't even fucking believe yourself? Kind of thing, So like you have to, even if it's off the wall, you have to say it with such conviction.
Yeah.
And I remember that helped me out a lot. In like early is like, okay, like if say it like I fucking mean it. You know what I mean?
It's a character.
Yeah.
And also you just have to stay in character.
Yeah, it's a characterized version of myself. You know what I mean?
It's like a method actor. So you just go out there and you just stay in character for whatever it is. So would you say your comedy is an amplification of maybe things you don't always talk about? Or is it more an amplification of just who you are?
I think it's amplification of maybe who I am and who I was, and because I tried the whole like self-deprecating thing. You know what I mean? For like, because everyone's like, oh, you got to be self-deprecating to be funny.
Punch down. Not up.
And it's like, but that's not.
Or punch up, not down.
Yeah, I go, but that's not who I am. You know what I mean? I go, I'm a cocky son of a bitch kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't act like that normally. Why would I act like that on stage? So I kind of started throwing that a little bit on stage a little bit, and people like it. People are into it.
What better way to stand out as well?
Yeah.
Is to be yourself when everybody else is trying to fit the mold of what worked or what got, I
always say it's all, man, I'm going to go up there and let my fucking nuts hang, man. I don't know about you guys. Like, and it's like, but that's how it is, like, that's who I am as a person. Is when I do well, I don't boast or gloat or anything, but it's all like, yeah, I know. Like people are like, man, that was crazy, Julian. You fucking did great up there. I go, yeah. I worked at it. I prepared for that. That was the goal.
Do you what do you guys are planning for the next coming year for you guys' group?
For the next year? For the next year, man, we want to maybe start going on the road, hopefully.
That's what's up.
Going on the road. Not anything crazy, but just like hitting little spots here and there and taking our brand elsewhere, expanding and letting other people not only know how us three get down, but how Bakersfield as a whole comedy scene. Like, to kind of go on to that, like whenever I've been to San Francisco, I've been to Vegas or something like that and done open mics there. And whenever I go and finish my set or whatever, I've done La Jolla Comedy Store, I've done Hollywood Improv, and whenever I finish those sets, I go, my name's Julian Nieto and I'm from Bakersfield, California. Like I always make sure to say that, like, to like put on for my city because when people hear Bakersfield, they think of cow patties and Oildale and meth and and it's like we're trying to reshape that, you know what I mean? And that's what we want to do with Go on the Road. We want to kind of get more into content, not sketches or anything, but more just like consistent content as far as like podcasting and stuff like that. And then, kind of marketing too, like get more into t-shirts and hats and, stuff that we enjoy, not as much as it's like, oh, hey, buy this. You're supporting me, like something that's like an exchangeable good. That's like, oh, I want that. Are you selling it? Kind of thing.
Did you, I don't know if you said post pandemic, you guys started doing comedy, but I remember Andrew Boyson, man, that fool would hustle CDs, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, does he still do that?
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so. I think you could go and
it must be. It's on SoundCloud. I remember thinking like, how hard is it to sell a fucking CD right now, man? Like, my God, and he would fucking sell them, bro. He would sell a good 4 or 5 of them every night.
Yeah.
Or like change them people would change them like a beer or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's just fucking funny.
Well, I have seasonings that I sell.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm a chef or whatever, so I could there's a reasoning for me to have seasoning. Mm. So I have barbecue seasoning that I actually use on all my stuff, and I sell it. I put a cool label on it and sell it at shows.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the recipe? Just like
it's
messing around, or is
it's passed down? It's like 3 generations.
3 generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think is gonna? If anybody was to fuck up and give it out, who do you think it would be?
Me probably, because sooner or later I'm gonna have to. If I wanted to put in stores and shit like that,
oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have to
but it doesn't have the ratios in it though.
Well, you could kind of get the ratios, because the biggest ingredient is first. The one that's mostly made out of. You could technically kind of try and find out the ratios, but it's not that big a deal. You know what I mean?
It's just good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good enough to sell. People like it. So,
what's been going on in the news?
In the news,
anything interesting? What do you, let me see. How old are you?
29.
29. Oh, you're not that much younger than me. It's fucking 7 years. How do you feel about Putin, man? This whole situation with Putin.
I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, dog. I really don't. I don't concern myself with any of that shit. I saw something that were like 15 minutes to midnight or some shit like that, as far as like the nuclear clock.
I've never understood that fucking clock thing, and I've been hearing it since I was a kid. I've Googled some of the dumbest shit in my fucking life. Never bothered to try to figure out what the fuck they're talking. I know the closer to midnight, the more likely we're gonna have a nuclear Armageddon or whatever the fuck. But I don't know how I think it's like an organization that like calculates or some shit, but I don't know how, like, what the fuck though.
I think it's just a cool way to say some shit.
It's like just to get people like feeling the pressure.
Scared.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what the fuck are you going to do? What the fuck am I going to do?
Exactly.
What am I going to go? There's nothing I can do. There's no difference in your perspective and how you're handling the situation and how like I'm maybe thinking about it have the same result.
Yeah.
So really I'm more thinking about something for nothing. Just for like, and I have my own little shit.
Do you worry about that shit?
I don't worry about it. I get a kick out of trying to see where it's going to go. Like I've heard people, kind of with like the stock market where they're like, they'll write down something, like people can, you get like an app, you want to invest, you put like fake money and you want to just see how you're feeling. I kind of do that with politics. I like to see the situation and try to think what is happening here, and not really just like what's happening here, what's the cost and benefit of the perception of it from this or that. Like, so like the Russian thing, like most people would be like, oh, Russia invaded Ukraine, he's an evil dude. My thing is like, bro, you just fucking fucked up the smoke and mirrors. We've been telling people how dangerous you are and building up our military, and then I show everybody you fucking suck, and we've had this shit for nothing.
Yeah.
And we're not spending all this money on military. We're spending it on other shit. We just been making it look like this, and now you fucked it up, and all we got left is China. So like I think about it like that.
Yeah.
I don't really think about it of like, freedom of the Ukrainian people. Like they're just pawn. Not. I guess I wouldn't say like as an individual and as people I worry about them. It sucks that they're dying for the fucking pawns of like other fucking generals. Yeah. You know, I hate that part. That part like that's fucked up. The rest of it is like, what am I gonna do about it? So let me enjoy the game, the sport, right? Just like the football game. I can't do nothing about it. I don't care how hard I cheer. The Raiders the Raiders might turning around, right? Yeah. I'm gonna cheer all season, bro. But if I had or hadn't cheered, did it make a difference?
It did make a difference.
So I think I see politics and all this like war stuff as the same. I'm looking at it as like I make no difference, but let me at least try to figure it out. You know, what's their move? What are they going for? You know, are they going to go for the Hail Mary, or are they just going to play it safe? And same thing with them. I think for us, like the proxy, they call it proxy wars. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty much we're having a war with Russia without having to use our own soldiers.
A Cold War, right? Basically, is what it is.
Yeah, it's a newer version.
Yeah, I literally do not concern myself with any. Like I'll watch like shit on TikTok or whatever. Like I'll be scrolling and be like Vice News or something like that, and I'll listen to it. I'm like, oh damn. Like I was just listening to this other thing yesterday that in Europe, in France, there are literally lines to get gas are backed up onto the freeway, like backed up, like it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 hour long waits to go get gas because of gas shortages and because of the price of gas. And people's bills are getting so high. It was like in one country, their bills have increased 1,000% in the past quarter or whatever. And people are starting to like protest. They're starting to burn their bills. They're saying, don't pay your bills and watch how the infrastructure falls. So like that's going on all over England, France, Rome. All those places are kind of like wilding out right now with that. And I was like, oh, damn, that's fucking crazy. I go, you know, like, that's crazy, you know, but that's about where it ends.
Yeah, man, and there's different ways to look at that. You know what I mean? You can look at it as like fucking capitalism, fuck the world, you know, I'm gonna all emo and shit, or you can just be like, they should have played the game better.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I think it's like a multifaceted kind of thing, you know. It's definitely I don't know. People could blame it on a million things, but I don't know.
How much money is too much money?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, for them, it's
like, for you, like if like at what point would you? How much money would you have to have like secure, right? Just let's say no debt, right? No debt, and you have this stack of money. Like, how much would it be for you to be like, I'm not gonna let people? Not that people do manipulate you, but you're gonna be at the point where you're like, you're not even like contemplating having to figure out something. You're just like, man, fuck you.
I don't know the exact, you know, dollar sign or whatever. I think it would have to be with like what I have, you know what I mean? Like fuck you money kind of thing. Like, you know, like I would have to be able to feel it, you know, like it'd be like, it's like, okay, like I have my own private plane. I have someone drive me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have, you know, like it just would be things that I wouldn't, like I'd be like, okay, like I think I'm good right here.
For me, I think it's similar. Is more money itself is whatever amount I have is just generating enough money to where, I mean, I really can't spend it.
Yeah.
You know, I just wait. Not that I have to like be all glamored out or some shit. You know what I mean? It's just more just. If I feel like getting up and going somewhere, like there's nothing to hold me back.
That's why I was literally just talking about that with my girlfriend yesterday. I think I'd be really good at being rich. I'd just be hanging out. I'd be like, you know what? Hey, let's go to fucking Nepali. Let's go get a pizza or something like that, man. We're not doing nothing tomorrow. Let's go take off. And it's like just being able to do that at a moment's notice and be like, all right, bye.
I like how you named some place that was fancy. I have no idea what
it's like, you know, like Neapolitan pizza.
Okay.
You know how they have like the like original pizzas? That's where like they started.
Have you ever tried to ball out with your girl, bro, and realize that you're not in your lane? Not as in like it's too expensive or something like that, but more like you're not even enjoying it the way if it was in your lane, you would have enjoyed the meal.
Nah, you
didn't order it right.
At most places, I'm kind of good at shit like that because I'm
the food.
Yeah, because of food. But like, there's some places where I feel uncomfortable. Like when I go to like, I don't like going to like Caesar's Palace in Vegas. Because I just don't feel comfortable there. Like they don't want me there. You know what I mean? Like,
wait, what?
Like they don't like not Caesar himself, but like the people there. Like it's just a little too white over there, and I just like it just makes me feel uncomfortable and shit. Like I got a white girl now, but I've dated Mexican chicks and shit like that, and we're like kicking it. It's like, man, I think we need to go like to Fremont or something like we need to go to El Cortez or something. Like they don't want us over here at Caesar's Palace. You know what I mean? Like it's just different.
You need some traumatized people around you and some some triggers.
Yeah, I just need to be like fucking in a spot. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't. There's certain places that I don't feel comfortable in and shit.
I've me and my girl by no means are fancy, but we do well for ourselves, and so sometimes we're like, let's fucking go get a fucking steak, just something. And then like I don't even know like what a good steak would be. So usually what me and her will do, at least what I will do, she usually gets what she wants. I just go at the menu and I go, what's the most expensive thing? And I'll be like, give me one of those. And then I usually, like, by the time I get it, I realize, like, what the fuck did I get? Like, what the fuck did I get, man? I ordered a fat ass lamb chop. And I was like, I didn't know how to order it. She was like, how do you want it cooked? And I was like, what would the chef recommend? Like, how would he want his steak eaten? And she's like, medium rare. And I was like, okay, bring a medium rare. In my mind, I know medium rare would mean that there's like a center that's not like what I would consider like fully cooked. But then the part you don't think about is how fat is the fucking the pork chop, the lamb chop. The fucking lamb chop with that. It was so fucking fat, bro. When I bit it, it's not a feeling of like I've ever had eating meat before. Like it was just like I bit it like it was cooked meat, and then all of a sudden my teeth just like they just dipped in full, and they just like the texture, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I remember like feeling it in my mouth, like I had raw meat in my mouth, and I was like, what the fuck? And my sister's like, that was the time I was eating my sister, and she was like, well, you wanted it like that way, and I was like, I didn't think it was gonna be like this raw.
It's not raw. It's cooked to an internal temperature. You know what I mean? It's like 135 degrees, 140 degrees internal temperature. So it's safe to eat.
Yeah, definitely. But
it's like that mind over matter kind of thing too,
Just not used to it. I'm used to cooking my meat all the way through.
So when you have like a steak, is it cooked all the way through, or
no?
Will you do a steak medium rare?
I do everything medium rare, and then just because that seems to be what they recommend you get your meat or steaks. I don't know about like any. I've never ordered like a fat ass chicken breast or something.
You want chicken cooked as well.
Okay. And then then the other day we went to KC Steakhouse, and then I was like, let's go there, man. It seems like I think it's supposed to be expensive or something. She goes, I think it is. I don't know. Let's go. So we go in there, and I'm like, she looks at I think she wanted like a steak, and then I wanted I think I wanted a steak or something like that. We ordered what we ordered, bro. Her shit was like $40. It was a fat ass piece of meat, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking came with like side dishes. Like it was just fucking. It looked good. It smelled good. Dark as fuck in there for some reason. I don't know why, but but from what I could see, the food looked fucking bomb too. And so I get my shit, bro. Mind you, my shit was like $60. It's a steak this fucking big, bro. It's the size of a fucking dollar bill thing. I was like, what the fuck did I order?
Was it good?
Nothing that I would say like, god damn, but it was like, it wasn't like, I don't know what about it was so great, other than maybe it was like, I would say it wasn't about taste or texture. It was about probably like how rare it was or something. That's probably what gave it its price.
I think best steak in Bakersfield is Sorella's.
Where's that at?
Over on White Lane, or it's like
Sponsor.
It's over on District. It's like an Italian steakhouse. So, because my big thing is when I go and I eat steak, I like having a side of pasta with it, right? Like I don't want rice or fucking Normandy vegetable mix. I don't want broccoli and carrots. I want a fucking good, nice pasta. You know what I mean? And most places you got to order the steak and it comes with mashed potato or this, and then you have to order like a side of fucking fettuccine Alfredo or something like that, however you want to do it. But this place you go and you could get it with white or red pasta, or you can even get like a seafood pasta on the side that has like shrimp and fucking scallops in it, and it's the bomb. And the steak just by itself is really good. They like marinate it, and it's really well seasoned. And then they bring it out, and it's a nice, healthy steak, and it's not too bad. It's affordable. It's affordable. It's like, maybe about $25 for a steak.
Where'd you say you work in right now?
Where I work in?
Well, yeah,
for myself. I do comedy. I sell seasonings, and I get a catering job every once in a while.
Why don't you work at the well cooking?
I do over there, but not really. Okay. Just whenever they have enough cooks over there, and that
time.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they do the Comedy Store. You just kind of work there, and then you just go up there and do your stage.
Kind of, yeah.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that's what Marcos does whenever he
that's
he cooks.
Right. He does work there, right?
Yeah, whenever he cooks, he'll go up last. But I'm supposed to be getting an internship somewhere. Hopefully, I need to actually call the guy probably tomorrow and see what's up with that.
All right, so we're back from break. So, you mentioned a few things when you introduced yourself. One of the things you talked about was sobriety.
Uh-huh.
So I know this Sunday I have an interview with, her real name is escaping me, but her IG name is La Chopsticks. And her thing, she mentioned her recovery.
Uh-huh.
So I know in recovery, a lot of people bring up the recovery.
Yeah.
Is that an important part of I guess I've either not faced the music or not aware of a problem, or I just haven't had that severe of a problem to have to like be sober or say like, hey, I need to cut myself off. I'm not responsible or whatever the situation. Is there a reason you bring it up?
Is there a reason I bring it? No, I mean, you asked to like introduce myself, and I think that's like a defining quality in myself. You know what I mean? I was for such a long time, I was I was a pretty useless human being. I think I would describe myself as, not of use to anybody or myself or anything, and that was pretty evident of how, so now that I'm on the other end of it, why not describe myself as being useful and being in recovery and on the other end of something, So like on my keys, I have my like little key tags or whatever that have sobriety on them. I have little chips that with me that I carry.
So you do it through a program? It wasn't just like.
No, yeah, it's through a program. Yeah, it's through a program, and I still do it today. And it's like a life. It's like it's my life basically. Without my recovery, I don't have any of this. I'm not here. I'm not doing comedy. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't see my son. That's I get pretty hardcore with it. So it's
and it's just substances in general, or just
drugs and alcohol. It was alcohol and speed.
Damn.
But before that, it was alcohol and cocaine, and before that, it was just alcohol and weed and psychedelics every once in a while when they would show themselves to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, for the most part.
Well, that's cool. I guess too. I guess in the comedy scene, a lot of people smoke pot. A lot of people do hallucinogens. A lot of people, it's just there's so many personalities in comedy that you're gonna run across probably different substance uses.
Yeah.
So I guess hopefully everybody's cool with you and not.
Yeah, everybody's actually super supportive and stuff like that, and it's to the point where like people are all like, "Oh man, I've wanted to stop drinking or this and that," and I try and tell them, it's basically kind of like that too. Is like I want people in my community and my friend group to know that if anyone's ever struggling, that they can always hit me up, and I'll take them to the proper places, and then it's up to them, kind of thing. But yeah, it's like a defining kind of it's a defining thing in my life. Basically, it's what I base my entire life on, is the principles that I've learned.
I know for myself, I've drank heavily in my life, and I mostly because of like binge drinking, not like any kind of like issue. I guess it's just more just not knowing how to drink, binge drinking when I was younger. And there was times where I was just kind of like, I wouldn't say like, oh, I need to be sober, but more like I don't feel like drinking. That's the best way to put it. And I would go like a year. I would go several months, and I was always surprised, one, to learn who wasn't really your friend, because there would be the dumb fucks who would be like, oh, come on, like trying to make light of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, how about we just stay away from the subject?
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't need to make light of it. We don't need to make it funny. We don't need to make it sad.
Mm-hmm.
How about just, I don't participate? You know,
yeah.
That's all.
And it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. And I remember bartenders, maybe it's a cultural thing, but I know when I was in Mexico, one time I didn't feel like drinking and I ordered a water. And the guy asked me if I wanted a warm milk. And I remember feeling embarrassed because everybody was fucking laughing at me. But I wasn't embarrassed to the point. I mean, I have thick skin, you know, so I was just like, all right, good one, fucker. Like,
yeah.
I was like, nah, I'll get a water. It's like, okay. And then I remember I was drinking at a bar on Veterans Day with a friend, and I believe at that year I wasn't drinking, and so the bartender ordered a drink, and then the dude, I was like, hey, I gotta get a Coke or something, and then he was like, yeah. He's like, so you don't drink? I was like, nah. I was like, I'm just trying not to drink for a little bit. He's like, oh, and he's like, showed me his thing, talking about how long he was sober and shit. And I was just like, all right, cool. Most people are really supportive of it.
Yeah, it's but like, I try not to, like, because not everybody has a problem with it, and the majority of people don't have a problem with drinking. You know what I mean? Most people could take it or leave it. You know, and even people that have like a little bit of struggle not drinking, it's like it's pretty simple. You know, it's like, for instance, did your life get better or worse when you stopped drinking?
Right. My life got, I would say, better.
Yeah, see, so when I stop drinking, my life gets worse because at the beginning, because alcohol was my solution to all my problems. So you take away my solution, now I'm just left with all my problems.
To face where you didn't face before.
Yeah, and then I'm in a state of hopelessness. And the only thing that I can rely upon is a higher power, or however you decided to call that.
Yeah. So was it the person that you became while on let's say alcohol that you didn't like, or just the condition of your life in general?
It was a bit of both, man. I wasn't one of those guys that was out there for fucking 20 years and shit like that. Like it went pretty quickly. Like I went from having a security job one summer to being locked up the next. You know what I mean?
Fuck.
You know, so it's like it went very quickly. You know, I went hard in the paint, I guess, you know, and it was bad. It was bad. I was 100 pounds underweight. I didn't have anything to my name, basically, and just was like fucking bombed out and depleted. And even then, I didn't want to stop. It took me like another 6 months after I kind of lost everything to finally, for something to stick.
That's rough, man. I'm glad you you know, came about whatever you did to make that decision.
Yeah.
I right now I'm on a break. I'm not really working. I left my social worker job, and most of it I left it because I kind of felt the longer I did the job, the more responsibility I was being given, and you're not gonna win them all.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of dawned on me that at some point, no matter how good I got at my job, there was always going to be that one person I saw years from now, like homeless. Yeah. You know? And I think I didn't want to see that. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's a tough career, man. My girlfriend is actually in that kind of line of work, you know, with like psych patients and stuff like that, and it's a tough job, you know, because hospitals are for profit at the end of the day, and it's like, but she's dealing with it at a human level, and like having to like kind of weave those two lines is a tough line to kind of to walk.
Yeah, there's a lot of to the job. There's a lot of learning how to leave it at work, learning how not to carry it. I went to mental health services to get ahead of it, and because I got ahead of it, I think it really helped me with like understanding my kids, dealing with the stress of the job. I think I definitely put in probably an extra year. Hadn't I not done that, and I would have came out quitting and all fucked up. Yeah. Versus going, hey, I think I've done everything I can. and I think it's time for me to step away.
Yeah.
I would get kids who had like mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get into detail, but like they would be best way to say it would be like delusional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they believed that they were gods.
Yeah.
Believed that they could teleport.
Uh-huh.
Could not distinguish a dream from reality.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I had to help that kid somehow be a productive. And then it's like dealing with the politics, dealing with the whole system of bureaucracy was like it was just a uphill battle of like of just not helping kids. I mean, I had a kid on fentanyl, like 14-year-old kid on fentanyl.
It's crazy.
And I remember going to my boss, and I asked her like, I need to get this kid in a rehab. We don't have any rehabs. This kid's refusing to come into care. He wants to go to rehab though. He doesn't want to be in foster care. He'll stay runaway if we try to get him in foster care. But if we put him in a rehab, he says he's willing to try that. And they were like, can you convince him to come into foster care? And I was like, you haven't seen this kid in a year. I managed to befriend his parents, befriend him. He's vulnerable. He's telling me that this is what he wants. You have had zero contact with this kid. And now he's calling me actively wanting to go to rehab. Yeah. And you're telling me to get him into the thing that's going to tell him, well, I told you I didn't want to go into foster care and you put me into foster care. Fuck you, you know? It's kind of just how it works. And so I was kind of really bummed out about that situation.
Yeah, and there are programs, though, for like at-risk youth and stuff like that, and people in predicaments like that. There's like the TAY program and stuff like that.
There's TAYs. There's outpatient services from K-Bear. He was wanting like specific care, and I remember going to to my boss, and they were like no, we're not gonna do that. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what's the other option? He's just gonna not talk to us. What's a hurt to send this kid to rehab, and if he decides to run away, then that's on him. You know, that's his drug addiction. Yeah. But if we just go, we didn't give it to him, we didn't try, then that's kind of, to me, it was like, that's fucked up. Yeah. You let him trip on his own, you know? Yeah. But anyways, so stuff like that, and I think I got to the point where I was like, man, these cases are getting fucking wild, bro. Yeah, that's I had kids trying to kill their caretakers and like fucking nuts, bro. Yeah. Fucking, I remember people who got paid way more than me would like talk about how in training they would talk about my cases to them.
That's hardcore.
And I would be like, that's fucked up because you get paid like $10 more. I mean, fuck. Yeah. But anyways, to walk away from all that gloomy shit. My brother, he's struggled through addiction. He was on meth and coke and shit like that, and he had hit like rock bottom several times. Yeah. I remember one time he got stabbed 14 times, and he was sober for a little bit, and then he just relapsed, and then lost his kids, lost his wife, lost his job, went to jail, and then he fixed his life up, but like he can't backtrack all that shit, you know? Yeah. He's never gonna have those years with his kids. His wife's already moved on.
The thing with meth too is like there's a scary statistic that like the majority of almost all meth related deaths, like there's no overdose on meth. You know what I mean? The majority of it is violence perpetrated on or against them. You know, like stabbings, getting hit by cars, killing yourself by fucking, you know, trying to steal copper wire. That's all the deaths that are on meth. So you just like have to like, for the most part, you end up just kind of living in this like squalor. You know what I mean? And you're just living in it, and it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's inhumane. It's like it's the most inhumane. I mean, I've never done heroin or anything like that. I'm not. I like going fast.
Let's do it, bro.
No better time than the present, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like kind of the depths of like living that I did was like just like so different. Like, you know, it's just like the what I was willing to live in was insane to me. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I was never like homeless. You know, I spent like maybe a couple days like behind stores and shit like that. But for the most part, I would kind of just like go from friend to friend's house, you know? It's like when they got tired of me, I'd be like, all right, I'll see you later. And then I'll go to this person and all right, I'll catch you later. And then go back over here and just kind of.
I see. Yeah, that's a different picture too. That's getting pretty bad. I had a friend that I worked with, and he told me this story, and I swear, I don't fuck with drugs because of this guy. Mm-hmm. He just told me this story, and I was like, I already kind of like, I'd seen people on drugs, and I just didn't really care for it. Mm-hmm. Weed, not too bad. Cigarettes, beer, whatever. Yeah. You know, I've done ayahuasca, shit like that, mushrooms.
Yeah.
You know, tried different things, but never as a hobby any of these things. And so this friend of mine, this guy that I worked with, he's like telling me the story that he was living in Los Angeles and he had his own house and he was really happy about how well he was doing in life. You know, just kind of overachieving, right? And just make sure everything's still recording. I got to check every once in a while. So he's telling me that, you know, he's living in LA, he's having a great life. And his mother comes to visit him. And so he's so fucking happy because he hasn't seen his mom in a while. So he's like telling his mom, like, Mom, like, you know, I just been wanting you to see my house and how well I'm doing. And I just want you to be proud of me and how well I've been doing. And I'm glad you're here to see it. And he says that his mom just fucking burst into tears and fucking just hugged him as hard as she could. And that fool, he said that it was like a almost like a movie. The walls melted. And then he just realized he was in an abandoned home. Everything stripped, fucking no windows, fucking just, he was on meth, fucking living in this abandoned house, and his mom had tracked him down and was like trying to get him to come home.
Wow.
And he's like, dude, he's all I think he said.
That's a full on psychosis.
Yeah, it was bad. But I remember him telling me, and just like, the fuck, I want to tear up just the way he told me, man. I was like, fuck, bro. Yeah. I was that bad? He was like, bro, it was fucking bad, bro. He's like, I was out of it. Like he's like, he could have swore that was his life. And then like, that break right there was just like, what the fuck? He said he just burst into tears. Got himself enrolled in a rehab. He went into rehab with a friend of his. It's almost out of a fucking movie. They got a bunch of crazy shit that happened to him. They had to eat apples for like a week straight, and had to get like applesauce up their ass, and just a bunch of fucking random stories of like running down the hall with fucking applesauce coming out with turds and shit. Just fucking random shit. But that itself was like, God damn, that is fucking hard, bro. Hard. I have my niece recently.
Fucking apples. Had to eat a bunch of apples. Did that rehab took the term "eat an apple a day" to keep the doctor away a little too literally, or what? Fucking.
It was like their thing. He said like everything was apples. They ate apples. Everything was apple made, and they had
so weird.
the whatever they call it, the colonoscopy, whatever fucking the water shit up your ass was like apple water.
Some of the shit some of these rehabs fucking think is gonna help people.
He said they had to scrub daily. Like he said they would like sit there and then they would tell them to like scrub, and so they would jump in the shower and they just like fucking scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub. And they said they just try to get it raw because they were trying to like get the flesh off because the flesh had toxins. And I was like, you're only gonna get that uppermost cell, and if you have, I mean, I don't know how drugs work in the system.
Not like that.
It's distributed everywhere, right? Yeah, it's not just on like the upper layer of your skin.
No, that's
well, anyways,
crazy. That's just as crazy as fucking going out and doing drugs is going to like fucking eat apples for, you know, that's just as insane, you know what I mean? But to each their own. If they help people, they help people.
He ended up he'd been sober since. So I think it had been like about 10 years he had been sober. And he was still dealing with his meth use because like you could tell when you talk to him that he had like some like kind of tics that he had done, like some hard drug use. And his personality as well. but also debt. He had like run up credit cards. He had hit a telephone pole, and he owed like $10,000 for it or something, like a crazy amount of money that he had been lying on his taxes so he could get more money and so he could buy drugs. And he had been claiming he had like 13 kids or some shit. Bunch of ridiculous shit, man. So I mean, overall though, you called it quits on time. Not obviously not too late, right?
I was lucky enough to where like I kind of just stepped away. Like the way I would do it is I would like get as far away from my family as I could, because I was like out of sight, out of mind. But it was always the opposite, you know what I mean? But I was lucky enough to where I never really got into. I like calling it like white collar crime, like kind of like scamming people or like stealing mail. I never got into any of those, because those ones you accrue debts and shit, like, you know, like that. I was kind of, call me old school, but I was more of like just like kind of pull people out of their cars kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of real old school, you know, like, you know, just
GTA?
I mean, no, I almost got away with it once and it didn't really work out for me, but more like just robbing other nefarious people. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But I would get robbed all the time. It was like a game of cat and mouse. Like if you're like, the only reason I got to that is because I got so tired of getting done. You know, it's like, man, what the fuck? It's like, fuck these fools. And then it got to a certain point to where I was like, wow. All right. And like you get into like this like level
that's
of
a whole other cycle of
yeah, it's like, man, fuck these motherfuckers. It's like, it's very, I was talking about it the other day to my girlfriend, and I was like, man, I feel like I need to go to therapy, because like I feel like I have like PTSD about certain things. You know, like I get like overwhelming like fear sometimes, like just in certain situations when I'm in certain places and I see certain kinds of people, I'm all like, I get scared, like just because it was like a different lifestyle and I'm not equipped for that lifestyle anymore. I've hung up my jersey, you know what I mean? I'm not equipped for that anymore. I don't roll that way, you know? And it's just like it's certain moments where it's like, fuck, and it's like, it's rough. It's like I did a tour of duty out there in the fucking streets, and I'm not built for it, you know what I mean? That's not how I was raised.
Well, I think the best way to put it, and there's even a map of it. That's what my first session with my therapist. He like told me how the brain works and shit. So, so pretty much, you were trying to survive, and your brain had to tell itself whatever it had to tell itself, so that whatever you were doing worked. And then when something happened where you went off that track, your brain never rewrote itself. It's just been kind of winging it.
Yeah,
you know, it's winging it, and you're surviving, so it doesn't matter to you. But there will be a point. No, I shouldn't say there will be a point. When there's trauma that hasn't been addressed, there will be a point where all the elements there for you to have like a breakdown, or you have like a response you would normally not give. You know, snapping at somebody or whatever the fuck. You know, you can let it go that way. So you just kind of like have to watch it. Therapy was cool, man. I really liked it. I really liked it. Even going to group therapy. I think when I went to therapy, I thought it was like kind of a crock of shit. You know, this guy was just like asking me random questions, but what I found was that when he was talking to me, I was raising my voice a lot.
Yeah, like defensive.
No, not it. Just what I was trying to get off my chest or how I felt, because he would ask me questions about, like, I would say like, man, it's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, just you know, breaking my 9 to 5. You know, I'm using my vacation time right now to go come in and do the session or whatever the fuck. And he would ask me like follow-up questions, and then it would lead to like, you know, what's bothering me. It's like, oh, today I just had a bad day, and you know, like, well, what triggered it? What? And then we just have discussions about like the different things that would like trigger my anger or trigger my distrust of somebody. A lot of mine of growing up, I by no means am like a gang guy, right?
Yeah.
But I grew up in a situation where, you know, you get bullied or you stand up for yourself. I was never someone to bully people, but I was definitely someone to defend myself. And so in those situations, sometimes you develop a certain reaction to certain things. You know, when someone talks to you a certain way, then you nip it in the butt, right? Hey, we're gonna nip this conversation right now because you're not gonna be fucking talking to me like that.
Yeah.
Why? Because you think if I let him talk to me like that, then everybody's gonna talk to me like that.
Yeah.
You know, so So those are things that I never really realized that people think like when you grow up in certain environments. And so I remember one day my boss was talking to me, and something about my boss was just like, I felt like, oh man, this fool pissed me off because he criticized my work or he criticized me or something, and so that's why he pissed me off. I'm like, whatever. So I'm like talking to the therapist about it. Anyways, long story short, we go around and around, and then like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this fool pisses me off because I know I'm in a different environment, and my survival technique is different, or it's obsolete in this situation.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when someone talked to me a certain way, I couldn't show weakness, and so I would have to talk back to them a certain way, or escalate it, right? Because I couldn't show weakness. And then you go into a professional place where someone talks to you a certain way, and they're not talking to you that way because they have hierarchy, or because they'll fucking kill you, or they're a threat to you, or they're bigger than you, or whatever. You know, the normal, like, I'm not gonna
like the normal rules of the jungle kind of shit.
Right. And so now this guy's talking to me this way, and I'm like, can't compute in my head how to talk to him, because if I raise my voice, I'm a problem now.
Yeah.
You know, there's my normal ways of facing my problems, or that flight or fight situation is not the same anymore. And so where I could be like, oh, there's a way to argue with this guy, there's a way to talk to this guy, I would just be like, this will not know I could fuck him up talking to me like that. and then and so then I had to like check myself, and so then after that I just like checked myself, and I ended up not liking him just because his personality. I ended up just not liking him for his personality. But
well, the like the majority of like reactions, everything, it all comes from a place of fear. Like that's where everything comes from, like any kind of emotion, like anger.
I don't want to get bullied.
Yeah, it's all a byproduct of fear of being alone. That's why someone sticks with somebody for so long, or fear of success. People are afraid of success, and they sabotage themselves before they get to a certain point.
Isn't that crazy?
And it all comes from a sense of fear, and like that's like my biggest thing is like I'm no longer afraid of the past or of the future. And I no longer regret the past. And sometimes, I'm in and out of that sometimes. Sometimes I do regret the past, and sometimes I am afraid of the future. But today I'm able to like kind of check myself, ground myself, and kind of reach out to a higher power and stuff like that.
I would recommend it, man. If you ever got a chance.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of looking into it. But
it's not as expensive as you would think. I think if you want a decent dude, or chick, whatever, doesn't really matter, but a therapist.
I want him to be non-binary actually.
It's like $60, bro. Like
really for a session?
For a session, like $60.
That's not bad. I spent more on less. You know what I mean? Because I've heard the big issue though is that like it's easy to like kind of open someone up, but if a therapist doesn't know how to like put it all back together and just leaves you, it could leave you in a worse spot than when you got there.
So that is true. Well, I wouldn't say that's true exactly because I'm not in the area, but I would agree that you definitely open up some shit, and you have to like, because I remember like when I first started, a lot of it was like not wanting to accept it, and then once I started realizing like, oh fuck this shit. Like, yeah, this is right. I am repeating certain things, or even if like he would tell me like, oh, did you ever think that was because of this or that you got angry? And I'd be like, nah. And then something would happen, and I would get angry, and I would like backtrack like what in my day happened.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, it is from having expectations or high expectations, or it does come from a frustration of feeling abandoned, and then when someone doesn't fulfill what they say they're going to do, then it brings back those feelings of that you never settled and shit.
Yeah.
And so for me it was a lot of like abandonment issues, and then not like, oh, I'm fucking lonely and shit.
Yeah.
But just like things you don't even realize. Like I when I became a social worker, when I was doing my routines, so I'd go see my kids once a month and make sure they ate, make sure they were doing well in school. Like I realized like that's how my mom took care of me. Like I didn't live with her. I lived alone in my house. Like she would come and check in on me and like see if I had food and make sure I paid the bills on my own. I'd go pay my own bills, and so that drive of like I can't wait around for people. Like I just need to figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
And so I figured out how to pay my own bills. I figured out how to get myself to school. I figured out how to feed myself. I figured out how to cook. Figured out how I just did it all on my own. And so then throughout my whole life, I've always been like that. I don't like working in groups. Why? Because you're not going to pick up your fucking slack. I'm going to have to pick up your slack. We're going to get into a fight about it and you're not going to like it. And so why bother?
Yeah.
And so, but those are all the shit you tell yourself, right? So all those things you kind of work out. And also group therapy, I think, was like the real breaking point where I was like, oh, fuck, this all makes sense now. Because, man, you might think you have some fucking problems, bro. But there's some fools out there that got some fucked up shit going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, like you see women, you see and talk to women who, like, were just bad, bro. Just a series of fucked up and generational shit. And you're just like, God damn. But you also see kind of like how toxic certain mindsets are. Because, you know, you got to be able to frame your thinking a certain way. And if you don't know how to do that, you just kind of like, it's like cyclical. You just get more and more depressed.
Yeah, you can't constantly be the victim or, you know.
Yeah. And even if you are the victim, it's like, so what?
The thing that, like, move forward. The thing that, like, I've been taught is that you always, no matter whatever happened, you always had some part to play in it. You know, there's always something that, like, you know, there was your part in it. There's always two sides of the street. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's very philosophical of, like, you might, you know, this addiction might have me, this depression might have me, but, you know, you can only have so much. I have my mentality. I have to capture that. I'm in control of that, how I perceive things and how I see things. There was a guy when I used to do this podcast called Philosophy Kings, and he would do a rehab situation with some of his friends who were also former addicts, and they would practice stoicism.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of similarities between stoicism and the program.
Which is scary, but if you actually like philosophy and you study stoicism, it's kind of sketchy. But
really,
well, because in stoicism, if you can't solve your problem, or if your problem is, there's no problem with suicide in stoicism.
Okay,
there's no like right or wrong about it. It's more just like, if you feel your life sucks that much, just fucking kill yourself. Like so
it could be used for the opposite.
I mean, for someone who's on like hitting rock bottom and shit like that, you know, if they're not able to see the other side, they could probably use it for, you know, excuse to like harm themselves or some shit. I could see that maybe happening.
Because in early recovery, I like would listen to a lot of like those YouTube, like the Daily Stoics and stuff like that.
I thought you were gonna say death metal or some shit.
No. And they talk about like why can't I fucking think of his name? The main guy. No, don't tell me. Hold on. Marcus Aurelius. And his meditations or whatever, and they would talk a lot about his stuff. And I remember a lot of those things. Actually. Yeah, Seneca. They would like things that they would say, like their little things would really help me out in my early sobriety and stuff. And like I can't remember specifically which ones, but there's some things like was it memento mori, whereas like if you think of, it's like basically memento mori is like the opposite of like, instead of fearing death kind of thing, consider death as the past. But that's not memento mori. Memento mori is the expecting the worst outcome and in preparedness. So that if that's the worst thing, then it's like then like don't like seek it, but expect it. And if it happens, then it's no big deal. It's just what it is, and you're prepared for it. And then there's like the other one where they is like death isn't in front of us, it's behind us. Every second that we waste, or every second of time that goes by is a second we'll never get back. So that is death. Death is behind us. So it's like kind of like make every moment count.
You ever been a big old philosophy head or interested in philosophy?
Like I'm into philosophy in a sense, but not like, you know, like practicing, you know, kind of thing, you know.
Do you feel with like comedy you have like your place?
What do you mean?
Like just like where you're meant to be? Is it a comedy? Is it a culinary school? Is it?
I love comedy, man. I really do. I love comedy, and I like. It's not so much as like, oh, I make people laugh. It's like I'm helping them escape too, and I'm giving them an opportunity to to kind of forget what they're thinking about, whatever is going on with them, and then kind of go into my mindset and kind of laugh at it, you know, how I'm laughing at it. And that's how I kind of see it, you know, because I love comedy, man. I love going up in front of people and talking, and then everyone's listening, you know. And it's like, because I could kind of move a group of people. I have a gift of gab kind of thing, you know. I can move a group of people in this way or the other, you know. I've spoke at, like, about my sobriety and stuff at length, and you know, I'm crying. The you know, the people there are crying, and it's moving. It's moving as a together. There's a common consciousness when you're in a room like that, and I feel I get that same thing in comedy, to where you get that pop and everyone's on the same page, and it's just a collectiveness, you know, that everybody knows exactly where it's going and they're just ready for it, and it's just that pop, and it's just that I don't know how to explain it.
It's just, everything seems like it's kind of listening to an orchestra, right? You're doing all the parts, and if everything just comes together, then it's just this magnified sound, right? Versus just these small individual beats and stuff. But when when it all comes together, it's something else. I've seen it in in government jobs, where someone who's higher up, people kind of like talk shit about them. Like, fuck them. They're just there because they kiss ass. Or they're there because they fucking whatever, you know, some type of nepotism or whatever excuse people can hate on you about. But then I'll be in situations where shit hits the fucking fan and nobody knows what the fuck to do, and the person who's in charge is like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, we're going to wait for this response, then we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll that. In the meantime, get this ready.
Yeah.
We'll come back here. To, we got Thursday, 4:00. Does that work for everybody? Okay. All right. You do the notes. And it's just like, it all just kind of comes together, and it's all, it flows. And you kind of, I've sat in meetings and I've observed someone coordinate like the effort that we need to do and give out the tasks, and there's no like, what do you guys think? It's just like, it's like boom, 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 boom.
And there's a sense of ease and comfort in the room,
and that they know what they're doing. They have control of what's going on. You just need to do your part.
And then everybody else knows that guy knows, and it's like, okay, we're good, kind of thing, you know.
And I would agree with that. There's definitely that in comedy. There's that in riffing. Even when doing interviews, there's interviews that are kind of just like there's a conversation we're definitely going, and there's other conversations that just kind of like you can feel the difference. My stepdad, I grew up working construction with him, and while I worked for him, he was a construction manager, and so we would be on sites, and every once in a while, he always listened to NPR in the morning. But I would be in the morning, I would be doing all the files that I had a fax, and I'd be moving things around, and he would turn the music down, and then just stop for a second, and then he turned the music back on, and then go back to work. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? You know? So I caught on to what he was doing. I thought he was praying at first. And so then another time I was like, what are you doing? He's like, he turned it off, and he's like, what do you hear? I was like, the forklifts over on that side of on the east parking. And then sounds like the drywall going up over by the preschool, whatever, you know, whatever we're building.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. So what does that tell you? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, today's drywall. They got a forklift all the material that way. And we're just doing what we're doing. He's like, yeah, so everything's on time. And I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, yeah, well, that's how I know. I just listen. I can hear it.
Yeah.
I should hear the forklift. I should be hearing so-and-so pulling in. I should be hearing all these things by now. Or if I'm hearing this, then we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm just like, oh, fuck. Okay.
Kind of cool. That's so like a philosophical, like, you know, you could get some philosophical, like, motives out of that. You know what I mean?
Or even the drywall guys, he did not mind paying you overtime or giving you bonuses for finishing your work on early. Because he calculated it where he would still be making money. So, like, why try to milk it out of you to work your regular hours? It's like, if I'd rather get this done today and I get more of my money.
Yeah.
Or get whatever incentive he has to finish early, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he would do the same. You got any questions for me? I know I asked a bunch of questions about you. We'll wrap it up.
Let's see. When you come back to comedy, man.
I think I've always been with comedy. I've always kept trying it. While I did stop doing the open mics here, and I wasn't invited to do any of the shows. I was doing shows out of town, and so I was still continuing. Nothing like frequent, nothing really to brag about. I mean, I'm proud of the work I did, but it's nothing like whatever. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm definitely trying to make it to the mics.
Yeah.
I don't think I can make it to the Wells. Kind of not far, but it's just kind of. I want to be consistent, so likely I'll just be doing Timbler, the Canoodle Studio, the one on Mondays.
Yeah.
Not the Joke Jitsu, the
Jokes on You.
Jokes on You. Roast Battle Joke. I don't know. They changed the name a couple times. The Jokes on You one, I'll do that one on Mondays. Wednesdays, I'll do the Timbler and then run over and do the Laughing Stock if they start on time. And then I think that's all I got right now until they get more shows going. But I do want to make it out more, do a couple more shows. I think right now my focus is kind of getting my own podcast going. I've done a couple of them before, but I had to go like somewhere. Yeah. And I just kind of didn't want to do that anymore because I used to have to go to Canoodle Studio to do my podcast. So now I just do it here.
Yeah, this is a cool setup you got here, man.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that. I'm really it was a series of fortunate events of like sales on Amazon and just having extra funds because I wasn't working, just kind of chilling. And I was like, I got some extra funds. Why not buy fucking some cameras and shit I can use?
That's cool.
And like I said, I'm not renting it out, but I'm definitely recording other people's podcasts and then just giving them the raw footage, just giving it to them, and then as long as they have like one of these things, and then they just do with it whatever the fuck they want.
Cool.
And then been doing like murals, been doing like art. I've been doing art for quite a while.
I saw you have all those spray cans and stuff right there. Did you start tagging and then?
I don't know how to tag. I do more like that, like stencils like that.
Okay.
Or like stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been since when the pandemic hit, it kind of made me kind of just like take a step back and chill, not be so like I want to be successful and I want to be like successful at comedy. More, it was just more like, why did I get into it? And I think it was more like what you said. I don't want to be famous. I really enjoy making someone laugh, bro. It's like in a world where people get shits and giggles from being in pain to people, like to want to make people happy and laugh and shit. It's the opposite of that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I want to get back into it.
Yeah, we'll get back, man. We're always looking for more people. Always looking.
And like I said, like you said it too, the great scene, man. Really good scene right now to be doing comedy. Hopefully you guys can get some more shows going, and then I think right now is just kind of seeing in the next year with the 2 clubs, see what kind of comedians come through town.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking sure like whoever comes into town is gonna start swooping you guys up.
Yeah, we're building it slowly, man. Building it slowly but surely. You know, turtle wins the race, right?
Any aspirations to have your own comedy club or do a comedy special or anything?
All in due time, God's timing, not mine, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But you know, in a short answer, yes. You know, but nothing in the books. You know what I mean? Just as it happens, is how it happens. You know what I mean? Like I've kind of been told, or like being sober or whatever, there's a comedy scene of sober people, you know, in LA that's like, oh man, like you could kind of maybe help your career a lot. And it's like that I didn't get sober so to help my career, you know. It's like I kind of that's kind of taking advantage, I feel like, of my position, you know what I mean? So I just, as things naturally happen, they naturally happen, you know, and they have. And as of today, my career, if that's what you want to call it, is has been beneficial to just me being me and just me being in the right place at the right time and just being the person that I am. So I'm just going to continue to do that, and just how shit happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Cool. Where can everybody catch you if they want to either see you, buy your stuff, stalk you?
All right, let's see. So you can find me at Julian Nieto 44 on Instagram, Julian Nieto on Facebook. You find me Julian Nieto Comedy on TikTok. I don't really post much there, but you're more than welcome to check me out. You could check out Try It Out Open Mic on Instagram and Facebook. You'll be able to find links to those in my main Instagram. Also, make sure and follow Bad Neighbor Comedy. We'll be putting on shows here October 27th and November 23rd at the Well Comedy Club. October 27th is going to be a live podcast. It's going to be super dope. Make sure and check it out. November 23rd is going to be I believe a Bakersfield All-Stars comedy show where we're going to be having a barn burner of a show. Everyone's going to be in town. You want to make sure and check that out. And also make sure and follow us all as we do this weight loss journey over the next 6 weeks. My name is Julian Nieto. Thank you guys.
Is there anybody you recommend to interview that maybe I don't know, haven't met? Because I don't think I follow everybody. I know there's a few people that follow me, which is always funny how like I haven't done any comedy in town, and they're like, "Why is this guy following me? He doesn't even know who the fuck I am." Or how the fuck does he know who I am?
Have you hit up Marcos?
I have not. Mostly because I've never had a chance to like just kind of bullshit with him a little bit. So like to like be like, hey,
I would definitely get Anthony on the books, Marcos.
Anthony, I don't know. The guy's I don't know if he's bad with returning messages or some shit, but he
kind of is.
He was like, I've sent him like, he'll be like, hey, send me a date. So I send him the dates, and then like, oh my bad, bro. How about this date? I was like, oh, I already booked it. How about this date? It just keeps going, and it just keeps repeating.
Yeah. No one really, man, but I'll keep an eye out, man. And if I could think of anybody, I'll let them know. Send them your way.
For sure, man. All right, we just got to call it quits because it's getting fucking hot in here. Sweet. I don't know why.